All right, shall we rock and roll?
Yes, go on then, why not?
Okay, on a bank holiday Monday. Let's do it.
Yes.
People will never know how dedicated we are,
I know, I'm going to make the point right now.
All right then. Okay, let's go. 3, 2, 1. This is Trainer Talk, the podcast, brought to you by Sharon Gaskin of the Trainers Training Company and me, Ginette Tessier of the Get That Gang. In our weekly show, we cover news and views from our businesses, along with a top-of-mind topic. Of course, it wouldn't be Trainer Talk, the podcast, without the Dog Walking Digest, and every now and again we invite a guest along to share their experience and expertise. After 90 episodes of just audio, we're now on YouTube as well. So feel free to catch up there. Just search for the Trainers Training Company or the Get That Gang, or download us on audio only through your favourite podcast streamer. So why not sit back with a cuppa, make that journey or chore go a little bit quicker with our weekly inspiration for developing your training business. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Trainer Talk, the podcast, and we're at episode number 104. 104. How marvellous. Sharon, how are you? How was your week last week? Did anything exciting happen at all?
Oh, yes. We put an offer in on the house.
Dun, dun, dun. But which house? That's the question.
Well, yes, the house that, was kind of, it's been around for a little, been on the market for a month, and I was convinced that there was something wrong with it, even though it was in a nice location and exactly where we want to be.
Yeah.
I was like, there's definitely something wrong with it.
Yeah.
And I did say, obviously, last week, didn't I, that we've been around to see it on the Saturday, and we were going back to see it on the Monday, which was after we recorded the podcast.
Absolutely.
So we were Monday, and we were going back for our second viewing.
Yeah.
And so as a result of the second viewing, we decided we'd put an offer in. It was accepted. So,
Very exciting.
There we go.
I know. Having been convinced that having accepted an offer on your own house, that your next house wasn't out there anywhere,
Right.
and then all of a sudden
it popped up. How bizarre, how woo-woo is that? And bizarrely in the exact same location that we wanted to be.
I know, and that's really interesting, and I think actually it links to our top of mind topic today, which we will be talking about obviously later on. But if you hadn't decided that, even though the pictures on the website were rubbish and made it look horrible,
awful,
you decided that you were going to take the opportunity to go and see it anyway. And obviously it was completely different when you were actually there.
Yeah. I mean, it still needs, a fair bit of work, to come up to my exacting standards, don't you know?
Of course.
But it's location-wise, you cannot fault it. So it's too good an opportunity to miss, really. So all been a little bit of a whirlwind while we have been sorting that out. There's a couple of issues that we want to make sure that we can do the things we want to do. So we're going to go back there on Thursday with the builder, and if the builder does hit, if there's any sign of that builder, then, it won't be proceeding. But I made an appointment with this builder. He was recommended by the estate agent that we're using. And I have to say, I'm really, really impressed with him already.
Oh, good.
Because number one, he basically answered the phone, straight away, which, for a builder who, I've never come across builders who do that. So he answered the phone straight away. 2, I'll whisper this quietly, he wasn't Welsh. He's not Welsh. So I could understand what he was talking about.
Sharon Gaskin.
It's true. Some of these, honestly, you can't understand them. So that was another big tick. And then thirdly, he just sort of, had a little conversation with him. He sounded, a better class of builder, frankly. He sounded very articulate and sort of professional and, whatnot. And then he said, okay, he said, I'll text you my email address So you can then email me back the address of the property, and I'll meet you there next Thursday. I was
Nice.
like, all right. Anyway, put the phone down. 2 minutes later, text comes with his email address. I was like, well, a builder who actually does what he said he was going to do.
I was going to say,
amazing.
Yeah, and to be fair, you have had quite a bit of experience of builders and associated trades over the last year.
Exactly. So I'm very hopeful about this one.
Okay.
And it comes highly recommended from Mel, our estate agent. So yeah, it sounds like he's a sort of, I don't know, a sort of 21st century builder. It kind of sounds a cut above what the normal ones who, do the come in and then sort of finish at 4 o'clock and 3:30 on a Friday and go to the pub and all that kind of. He just sounds sounds a bit different. So.
Wow. Okay. Let's hope that that's not massively reflected in the price for you. Then.
Well, indeed. We will see.
But hey, we will also see if he is somebody who knows his own value. That's the thing, isn't it? Right? We can't be hypocritical about this, talking about knowing your own worth and all the rest of it, and then expecting somebody else not to charge appropriately.
Exactly.
Yeah, good. All right, so that's very exciting. So were you able to concentrate on anything else last week?
Not really. It was.
Well, that's that then. Let's move on.
Concentration. There's that going on with the house, and then also I've got this Robin situation going on as well.
Yes, so, Robin Gate. Yeah,
Robin Gate. So basically, I'm sitting here with my Big Mac talking to Ginette, and there's some trees behind me, and just by the side of my window on the right hand side there's a gate, and I noticed about a week or so ago, and I kept doing that, kept looking, there's Robin there, and kept looking again. Now I've realised, there's clearly a nest at the back there in the trees, because now what he does, he basically comes, he perches on the gate with a little bit of a worm in, has a look around, checks that it's safe, and then flies into the trees. And now this morning I've noticed that there are 2 of them, so 2 of them, clearly mum and dad, going in and out. But so that's been a bit of a distraction. Not so much the Robin actually coming and sitting on the gate, which is lovely to look at, but the little bit of the teasing that's going on between me and the Robin. I'm trying to get a picture, and he sits there and he looks at me like, goes hi, and then just to get my camera out, he goes, I'm not having this surprise off.
He's clearly, no photos, please. No
photos, no pap.
Yeah, exactly. That's hilarious. I love it.
So that's been a little bit of a distraction between that, the house, and the Robin. It's a wonder I've got anything done this week.
Well, absolutely, yeah, quite. And did you get anything done? I mean,
a few bits of things. So I had Magda to back, the lovely Magda to back, our Trainer Talk membership. Absolutely. She ran a great session. Spotlight session on the model that she's qualified in.
I'm looking forward to catching up with that.
Yeah, process communication model. Yeah, that was really, really good. And there's a little bit about, your personality types as well in there, which was really, really interesting. And I learnt, don't you know, that I'm a harmonizer.
No, really?
I am. I'm a harmonizer. Yes. Compassionate and warm. Then I went on to do that, and we'll come on to talk about Bushra. And I did her little questionnaire, her sort of persuasion school questionnaire. And I learned from that as well that I'm an empathizer,
yes,
but also known as an adorable puppy. So there you go.
And I agree totally. I know you're not completely sold on that. Empathizer is absolutely right, but this is a Bushraism, and we will explain to those of you that aren't aware. We will explain who Bushra is when we get to our top of mind. It's the idea that what you do in your business life is aimed to please. It is aimed to make sure people are happy and fulfilled and comforted and all the rest of it in your particular niche. So I think it's an absolutely apt description, but I know you were just like, what? I'm not a puppy. Yeah, you really are.
supervisor slash nurturer. That
Yeah.
was it, which I thought was good.
Yeah.
So that was fun. What else did I do? We had a accountability session with my Transformers group. We had a catch up in the Complete Trainers group. So our monthly catch up there. I was spending some time working on my More Than membership program, which starts tomorrow.
Very exciting.
So that's all very exciting. So I was working on that. And as I wrote those sort of 3 things down, I was thinking, kind of sounds like I don't do much in a week, really.
Good grief. That's a huge amount. There'll be people listening to this and watching this going, that's a huge amount. I can't believe you don't think that's very much. But
no,
I think
but
both of us are used to sort of, to-do lists as long as your arm, aren't we? So.
Yeah. But then I also thought about, but then I have kind of like meetings with my team. I have weekly meetings with them. There's the obligatory emails that come in. Morning, Jem. There's obviously the being active in the actual communities that I run, the Trainers Hub community. There's the planning, there's the marketing, there's thinking about stuff like our next launch for the Complete Trainer. And, there's all that stuff that kind of, there's a lot. So I do more than what I report.
Exactly. But that's the thing. I think we sort of, because we have the things that are more routine in what we're doing in our week. Is she right? Do you need to sort her?
Jem. She's barking. Sorry, but go on.
Don't worry. We have the things that we do, which are things that we do every week, which we kind of forget about when we're thinking about what we've done, because they become part of the furniture, so to speak. That's, I think, is a very apt sort of an analogy, isn't it? When something's been in the same place or at the same time all the time, you cease to notice it as being something additional. But when you really sit down and think about everything that includes all the stuff that is part of your routine, and then all the extra stuff that might be a one-off that week or might be specific to a program that you're running or preparing for or whatever, then it adds up to quite a lot of stuff. But I think this sometimes is why we get to the end of a day where we know we've been doing stuff but we don't feel like we've achieved anything, because our brains conveniently sort of gloss over the stuff that we have done, which is part of our normal sort of routine type stuff, if that makes sense. But you do. I mean, you and I both, we cram a lot into our weeks, which is fine because that's the way we like it. We wouldn't do it if we didn't like it. But it's our business. So,
oh, here he is. Right.
Oh, quick, get the photo.
Quick. No.
Is he gone again? I love it. He knows. Robins are very intelligent birds.
Very intelligent. Oh, they're so sweet though, aren't they? Remember we had those other robins a couple of years ago in our other house where, there was a nest right by the patio. There was the same, they like obviously.
Same ones. They moved with you.
Same, they followed us. They followed us, which wouldn't that be nice? That and the pigeons.
Oh no, you can keep them.
They're lovely. I love my pigeons.
Do you?
Really wood pigeons, not the feral pigeons. Not, there's a difference.
Okay.
The wood pigeons that have their lovely soothing cooing sounds.
Soothing.
Lovely.
Right.
I love the sound of pigeons.
Do
you?
Not at 5 o'clock in the morning, no.
I don't mind it. I find it really nice.
Oh yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've established that you're just odd. So
Well, this is true. This is true. The other thing I've written down for this week on the subject of sounds like I don't do much was tinkering. And always improving stuff. If I didn't, then I wouldn't have as much to do, would I? If I just could leave things alone.
Yeah, but
and just accept things as they are. But because I go, can we do this? Oh, maybe we could change this. Oh yeah.
It's all an experiment.
I know.
That's what we do. That's what we do. Because absolutely. There are things in both of our businesses that work really well. But if we just sat back and said, oh well, that's working then, brilliant. Without thinking about how we might improve it or change it or add more value or do something else, then it would get stayed pretty quickly. And I think there is a lot to be said for having stability in kind of your core bread and butter stuff and all the rest of it. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't try little tweaks and little changes. It's like, it's the 1% improvements, isn't it? That's the important thing, because I think so many people, and I did at the beginning, certainly, I don't know if the same was for you, I was looking for what's the big things that I need to do to make this happen or that happen. And it took ages to work out that actually it's the little things, over a period of time that add up to make the difference. And there's no way around that. It's like, can you just fast forward me 6 months? Like, no. You can't. You've got to do the little incremental steps to tweak, to change, to refine, to work out what works for you, best, and all the rest of it. And that's just the way it is. But of course, you don't want to hear that when you're first starting out. You want to know what the magic bullet is.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
But
tinkering. And I've got to stop it. No, I'll never stop it. But it does take a lot of time, because I'm always changing things. In an average week, there will always, things on my to-do list are things that I'm that I'm doing because of something specific that I want to improve or or grade. And on the subject of improving things, my quest for constant personal development and improvement, and the kind of the avalanche of courses that I subscribe to and are, doing at any one time. Indeed. Which also I have to build into my week as well, because I'm not one of these people who buy courses and then just don't do them. No. If I'm going to do them, then I do them. So I build in time for that. I spend a huge amount of time watching videos and all the rest of it. But anyway, a huge benefit of that, and a little known benefit of doing that, as well as all the improvements I've made in my business and in myself, has been I got my tax bill this week. And it is not as much as last year, primarily because I've been spending all this money.
Absolutely. Spend money to save money. That's what it is, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
It is. Oh, no, I agree. Absolutely. It's one of those things where you sort of look at, I've just got my VAT, quarterly VAT that I need to pay, I think, end of this week. And looking at it and just thinking, wow, okay, I thought it would be more than that. But of course, you're knocking off the VAT for all the stuff that you've been charged VAT on, and including courses and things like that. So it is definitely a little talked about benefit of investing in yourself and your business.
And I said to you, didn't I? I said, I think we should put that on our sales page, quite honestly.
Yeah, quite. Invest in this so you can reclaim some money back. Absolutely.
It should be there as a benefit. Because people don't realise, probably, do they? That it is, obviously, can reduce your tax bill.
Completely. Interestingly, my accountants do use it as a benefit. They do put on there, this is the charge with X whatever pounds as reclaimable VAT. And all the rest of it. So interesting what we can learn from accountants.
Indeed. And finally this week, on the Welsh front, a couple of exciting developments this week. Number one, we have an election on Thursday. Apparently it's the Welsh election, like for the government. How exciting is that? Like I was thinking, shall I do this? And then I'm not really Welsh, but then as you say, but you do live there. Yeah. So I've got to go out, if only to have the dogs at polling station photo opportunity.
That's got to be done.
Because it's got to be done,
Absolutely.
So
Yep. Hashtag dogs at polling stations.
Absolutely. So I might go and do that on Thursday, but after, if I can walk, that is on Thursday, because on Wednesday I'm going back to the gym.
Woohoo! Oh, it's so exciting.
Oh my God. Part of me is thinking, because I've been a bit lax the last couple of weeks for one thing and another. And then I just thought, do you know what? I'm done with doing it at home now. I'm done with it. I think I'm just fed up with it. I get too hot in here. I thought, do you know what? I'm just going to take some time off in preparation for going back on Wednesday. And I was thinking, my God,
yeah, you're definitely not going to be able to walk.
The system.
Oh my goodness, yeah,
Oh my
DOMs
God.
are waiting for you then, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I can see now. And it's quite funny actually because I saw Ian's Instagram this morning,
Yeah.
a trainer, and he owns the gym obviously. And, previous to today, he was always like, oh, I don't work bank holidays. This morning he was like, the alarm has gone off at 6:30 a.m. I'm opening my doors. And I put my messages like, you don't do bank holiday, do you, Ian?
Mm.
But, obviously you haven't worked for 6 months. So it's
Yeah,
back in there.
yeah. Something's got to be done. Yeah, we were talking about that at my boot camp this morning, actually, because our gym is a class-based gym, so it hasn't been opened up in the same way that other gyms that have individual workstations have. They opened, I think, 12th of April, something like that, and we can't open until the 17th of May. So we were talking this morning about how many outdoor boot camps are left before people can get back inside. And it's like, well, actually, I've quite enjoyed being outside. So far, touch wood, haven't... yes, that's wood. Haven't been rained on yet. I mean, it's been pretty cold and windy for a few of them, and this morning actually it's windy as well. But very much looking forward to going back to the classes indoors again, getting back to being able to use some of the equipment as well, which would be nice.
That's the thing that you miss. That's the thing that makes the difference. That you can do so much at home, but it's using that equipment. But I thought, not looking forward to getting on that devil bike again.
It's waiting for
there
you.
There is the instruments of torture.
Yeah, why do we do it to ourselves? Absolutely.
No idea, because you always feel better when you do.
Yeah. Well, I'm hashtag smug after having done it, for sure. It's like, oh, brilliant! Don't have to do anything else until Wednesday. Yay! But
exactly, So that's all very exciting. So that was my week and the week to come, I guess. And I think we should just point this out for our listeners that we are yet again recording this on Bank Holiday Monday.
True.
It's just true. So dedicated, just holidays. What holidays?
Yeah, feel the love from us, people.
Yeah,
we adore our audience so much that we are prepared to do this on a bank holiday, and there's no truth to the rumor that neither of us actually realised. Anyway, so. My week last week turned into a very busy one. I mean, all joking aside, I know that pretty much every week has been busy, and there's certainly no sign of it stopping in May. But it was normal level of busy until we got sort of towards the end of the week last week, and then it became hyper level busy. Just of different things that were in motion, and then everything seemed to sort of reach a point where I needed to do something about it at the same time. So I had sort of various things out there that were waiting for feedback or whatever, and it felt like, I mean, it wasn't the case, but it felt like everybody came back at the same time and just wanted everything done at once, sort of thing. So that made for an interesting end to the week, for sure. But I've also been preparing and looking at my stuff, so particularly the Get That Gang website, which I'm still in the process of building out properly at the moment, but also preparing for what's coming up this week, which we'll talk about in Top of Mind, of course. And yes, like you say, the Complete Trainer catch up on Friday, and then we had a chat whenever it was, Thursday. When did we talk about? Anyway, I feel like we talked a lot, didn't we, last week, more than normal. But anyway, just talking about what we're going to do in terms of the next round of Complete Trainer that's coming up, and all that kind of stuff, and how we're going to orchestrate that and make it work in the context of the bigger picture of how your business model operates, how my business model operates, and what we can do about that, and some fairly I'm going to say significant decisions, but not, groundbreaking or anything like that. Important decisions that are right for moving forward, but still stuff that is different to what people are used to as well. So that'll be interesting to see how people take to that one. And also thinking about, okay, what are the programs that I'm going to be putting on and pushing forward with for things like the Get That Gang and all that kind of stuff, and just sort of making lots of notes about things that I could do. So that's sort of the way that it works for me. Is I'll do the big long list, so to speak, of here's all the stuff that I could do, and then start to sort of peg it back to here's all the stuff that I would really like to do, and then peg it back again for this is the amount of stuff that I've actually got time to do. Inevitably, that list is still longer than the actual amount of time that I've got to do it, but that's how I like it. I like that. I like walking that tightrope between, just having a lot to do, which keeps me sort of fired up and going and moving and producing, but not having so much to do that it feels overwhelming. I mean, I have to say that I have been less successful at staying the right side of that tightrope, staying on the tightrope over the last year and a bit of Corona. But it's definitely getting better. I can't remember if I said last week, one of the things that I'm so pleased that I've done, and I can't believe I didn't do it earlier, was set up a Calendly link for people to book time in my diary.
Yes. Oh, why didn't you do that? Basic stuff, Ginette.
I know. But isn't it always the way? It's the things that make the most difference. For whatever reason. And then you do it and you go, oh my God, why haven't I done this earlier? Which, and I think part of it was sort of having a little bit of the element of choice taken away, which sounds ridiculous, but bear me out, because the way that the Calendly link works, if you don't have this sort of thing in your business, is that it hooks up to your calendar. In my case, I use a Google Calendar. It hooks up and then it finds the spare slots and makes them available for people to book. But of course, what you can also do is make sure that you book out some time so that, for example, you make sure you have a lunchtime and that kind of thing. I have neglected to do that this week and it has totally backfired for me on Thursday. So Thursday is tight for time, but that's okay. Lesson learned and all the rest of it. But what it has meant is that I have put aside pretty much Wednesdays and Thursdays. Sometimes I'll add a few other days into the mix, but put aside Wednesdays and Thursdays for people to book in. So, I send them the link. They then find where the availability is, match that to their own calendar and book in either for 30 minutes or 60 minutes, depending on what they need. It's the not having the element of choice on those days for people saying, oh, can we book in for, and then looking at your calendar and going, now should I, when do I want it to be? It's having the meeting come up and go, you are meeting with this person at this time because they've booked it.
I know what you mean. I get that.
And it's
like, 9:30 tomorrow.
I had one last week, and it's a client who I know she doesn't listen to the podcast, not because she doesn't, but
well, she should.
She's not a trainer, but anyway, she's very, very new to all of this stuff, and I know her through hockey actually. But she was trying to build her own website, and I wasn't convinced that she was going to get very far because let's just say I know the course she was taking, and I didn't think it would suit her. So she came back to me and said, actually, I think I need you to build it. Yeah, fine, no problem at all. If we want to have a chat, good. Here's my Calendly link. Find a slot. We'll have a chat. And it came up on my email as this person's booked in. And for whatever reason, I thought it was this week that she'd booked in for. And then I looked again on my calendar and it was the very same day. And it's like, and it was really annoying because I'd got the entire afternoon, nobody had booked in until she did, and it's like, no, I thought she was going to book next week or something, and then I thought, well, it's my own fault. I should have put the settings on that nobody can book within 12 hours, so that gives you a bit of buffer time, because I was really looking forward to having a completely clear afternoon of meetings so that I could get on with stuff. And so that was obviously my fault. And then also, like I was saying, somebody else has booked in so that Thursday this week is going to be interesting in terms of the timings and all the rest of it. So Scamp might have to be content with just yanking down to the field. Right, go for a wee, quick, we're going back again.
Oh,
Poor little love. But I'm not sure how else I'm going to fit everything in. But yeah, is Gem all right?
no, just wondering where she was. She's not in here,
Well,
so she's gone off somewhere
she's
else.
gone off to sulk because you told her off for
Sit on one of
barking.
the other sofas.
Lady leisure.
I know.
So Calendly, love it. Can't believe I didn't do it before now, but I've done it now, and signed up for the whatever the pay plan is, and that kind of thing.
Mm.
And yes, absolute genius, because it's great, because all I need to do is just type in the link when somebody says, "Oh, can we have a meeting?" Like, yep, here's the link. Which works really well. So very happy with that. But yes, this week is, I mean, aside from people booking things into the calendar and all the rest of it, this week is going to be very busy and very intensive. Certainly the first half of the week for sure. But yes, I think that leads us quite nicely into top of mind topic, does it not?
A seamless transition.
What a segue. So this week, and we have covered this subject in various ways before, but it's particularly apt this week. We are talking about opportunities, and particularly understanding what is an opportunity and recognizing it when it presents itself. And I think one of the things that you and I have both recognized is that we have taken advantage of opportunities that have come our way. Now, of course, ignorance is bliss. We have no idea about any opportunities that we haven't recognized and that have passed us by. But at the same time, I think we've both been quite good at spotting things that will work well for us, either personally or well for us personally and our business, or just for the business itself, and taking advantage of those opportunities. Hence your lowered tax bill, and hence my opportunity this week to speak to people who can really benefit from some of the stuff that I can bring to the party for them. So that's what we're talking about. We did promise that we would explain who Bushra is and all that kind of stuff. So for those of you that don't know, I particularly have been following for quite some time, and I've done several courses of hers, a lady called Bushra Azhar, who is, I think she's Bangladeshi, but she was living as an expat in Saudi Arabia with her husband and children, and then just last year during Corona moved to the UK. But she's a qualified accountant. Barely uses it.
Really? Yeah. What? Really?
Yeah. Qualified accountant, doesn't use it. And she was working as a consultant. And she's got a brilliant picture of her when she was still working as a consultant, which she sent to her husband, who's called Grumpy Cat, by the way, GC for short, because he never looks happy in pictures. But she sent him a picture, essentially, of her just going like this, because she was being called into yet another consulting meeting with people that weren't going to listen to anything that was going to be said, and all that kind of stuff. And even though it was a very well paid job, it just wasn't fulfilling her personally. And what fulfills her, and what she has built her several multi-million business around, so she's in 8 figures for this stuff, is persuasion, and being a persuasion strategist. So she essentially hoovered up as many psychology books and bits of information as she could. At the last count, and this was 3 or 4 years ago, it was 312. So I'm sure there's been more since then, and sort of worked out what are the things that are really persuasive in online marketing. So she's got a book, Mass Persuasion Method. I actually have it here. For those of you on YouTube, you will be able to see it. And then she's done sort of various live events. She has a big signature program called Sold Out Launch, which is essentially about all the psychology around getting people interested in what you're launching so that you can have a launch that is successful of your online products. She is a force of nature, personality-wise. She's a bit of a whirlwind, and certainly somebody that you need to make sure your energy levels are up to keep up. Although, to be honest, I don't think anybody can actually keep up with Bushra. It's more a question of, okay, how long can I hang on for? And she's such a lovely person. But I tell you the one thing that really tipped me over when I was first thinking, when I was following her and first thinking about buying one of her programs, was just a tiny little sentence at the bottom of her sales page that said 10% of all her profits go towards making lives better for women and children. in Bangladesh, and sort of surrounding areas. And she has been responsible for providing education for so many women and girls, and sources of income through helping them set up sewing businesses, and all this kind of stuff. And it's just amazing. But she never talks very much about it at all. It's just something that she does, which was really the icing on the cake for me. So, long introduction to who Bushra is. She's somebody who I've met a couple of times, and back in, I think it was January, she put on a 2-day event called Persuade Live, which, because I hadn't done her one of her programs or followed her stuff for a little while. I've sort of been in the background because I did Sold Out launch a couple of 3 years ago, something like that. So her stuff had been in the background, and I thought, actually, do you know what? I want to, just inject a bit of Bushra magic back into all of this stuff that I'm doing with the Get That Gang, and expanding the business, and all the rest of it. So I attended this event, and one of the things that she was talking about was this idea of becoming a certified master persuader. And I sort of looked at it, and it just, everything that came with it, so all of the opportunities that came with it, in addition to obviously learning how to become a certified master persuader, getting access to the one of a kind app that she's created, which effectively sort of goes through like a hot knife through butter. It slices through all your online assets and go, that's missing, that's missing, that's missing, that's missing. So you can prove, right? So you can make it better. So there's access to that. So I'm licensed to use that tool. There was the opportunity to have obviously individual coaching. Group coaching with Bushra, and then we're also going to get some individual coaching, and then an additional opportunity to be featured in her book, to be featured as a certified master persuader on the website, and to be a speaker at Persuade Live, which is happening again this week. So I've got an incredible opportunity to speak for 30 minutes in front of, at the last count, there were more than 400 people in the Facebook group. You'll be there. More than 400 people in the Facebook group, but actually there were 1,000 people who had registered to attend, but they just all, for whatever reason, hadn't ended up in the Facebook group yet. Pretty sure we'll get a rush of people wanting to join tomorrow when it actually starts. So having that opportunity, and Bushra has said, if you want to pitch. Her advice to us is, don't pitch a go up and sign up and pay now. It's more around sort of pitching a discovery call, or an application, or something like that. So that's the other thing I've been thinking about, is, okay, what can I offer? And I'm very excited about what I'm potentially putting together for people. So that's good. But yeah, I mean, me and 13 other women, and then Bushra herself, obviously, are just effectively going to be throwing persuasion bombs at people over the next couple of days. So yeah, get a new notebook for
something else for me to dive into,
There's a lot.
I think I haven't got enough. And I said to you, didn't I, on was it Saturday night? And I said, I signed up for your thingy, because your thingy, I called it. I signed up for your thingy because I wanted to support you. I wanted to watch what you were doing, and then before I knew it, I'd signed up for like her book, and then there was something else I'd signed up for, and then I'm like, I've now got all these other courses I need to do.
How did that happen? Absolutely.
It's reducing my tax bill,
it's Bushra persuasion. It's just so many people just go, hang on, I just thought I was coming on for a webinar, and now I've signed up for something. I'm really excited about it, but I don't know what I've signed up for.
I'm like, what?
I know. That's the Bushra effect. And it's an amazing opportunity for me, but it was a significant investment. I mean, it was probably 4 times more than any other cost that I have invested in terms of a personal development type program for myself. But it was the right time, it was the right place, it was the right offer. It was something that I could absolutely see would give me some kudos in what I'm doing, but also it absolutely is complementary to what I'm doing and where I'm wanting to get to with the business at the moment. So yeah.
Well, you have to do these things. We talked about this many times, haven't we? And it's one of the things that we were talking about last week or the week before when we did our money beliefs session for our complete trainer students. And it's kind of one of the things we talked about there was that how, it's a miraculous thing when you, because all we would, when you start spending money and you invest in yourself, it all, you start charging more, you start making more money. There's this just sort of like magical connection. It's almost like you're spending more, but you're allowing yourself to receive more. And it is a magical connection. And it certainly, I've spent a lot of money over the last 2-3 years, but I'm earning more. My business is in a better shape than it was. It can't be a coincidence. No. It cannot be. No. It really can't.
And that's the thing. I think it's one thing to invest in these things, but it's another thing to actually implement or even to take the courses. Because, I can think of probably 2 courses that I've invested in, which were, the reason that I invested in them was because it was a not for now, it's for later, but it was a really good price. And then,
I do that too,
exactly. And then it was kind of everything else that I've invested in, I have gone through because the reason that it's there is because I want to improve something and I want to learn and love learning anyway. So why wouldn't I do that? But I do think there are an awful lot of people that think that the act of purchasing is going to be the thing that improves. It's like, no, that doesn't do it. You've got to put the work in terms of, you've got to understand what it is you don't know at the moment, if only to decide that it isn't going to be something that is going to work for you. But I'm pretty confident that if you stump up to invest in something that you want to learn about, you are going to learn something that is going to fundamentally change your business for the better. And I think we've both, taken advantage of that. And I'm certainly having thoughts about things that I can offer now, which, I can't say for sure, but I'm 99% confident I wouldn't have been thinking in this direction and on this path if I hadn't seen the opportunity and taken it. But it kind of leads us to, I guess, answering the question of, well, how do you know what's an opportunity and what's just, money down the drain and that kind of thing. So what criteria do you use, Sharon, when deciding what to invest in?
I think there's something about, the business that you mentioned before about busier, when you said, I've been following her for a while. I think there's that. So there's that business of trusting in the person and trusting that, they're going to provide, good value. It's absolutely that. It's something that you've got to see a need for it in the business. You've got to see a need, as you say, you've got to be something that you can kind of implement. Otherwise, it's a bit of a waste of time. It's got to be something you're interested in. It's got to be something you can get excited about. So you feel that kind of excitement. Press the buy button, and what am I going to learn? Or I'm going to be part of this course and all that kind of stuff. So I must admit though that I'm like this in life as well, as you know. Sometimes I'm a bit impulsive. Sometimes, and we can go through the checklist and go, it ticks this, but I'm not really a checklist kind of person. It's the feeling. It's the feeling with me. It's kind of like sometimes you're just drawn to do something. You don't really know why, but you just feel that you have to do it. It's like when I signed up for Michael Neal's when I did the Spiritual Resilience Mastermind, which was just so, obviously I'd done tons of stuff with him, but he was running this mastermind with Robert Holden last year during coronavirus, and this thing popped up and it was so far removed from the stuff that I would normally do, but I just knew I had to do it. And I didn't even really know what I was signing up for. Do you remember on the first day I was like doing the web and going, what am I doing here? It's like not really sure what this is all about, but there was just something. And actually it was proved because it was really, really good and really, really helped me get through that whole period last year. So sometimes it can just be a feeling.
Yeah, agreed, totally. And I think part of it is like you say, it's the synergy with where you're at. It's got to be right time, right place.
Yeah.
So I think for anybody who is still a little bit uncomfortable around the idea of persuasion and that kind of thing, it's like, I put out a joke post that said, basically never look me in the eyes again. And that is obviously a complete joke. You can't persuade anybody to do anything they don't really want to do.
No. No.
And even if they might not be in a position of fully consciously understanding why they've done it or what they want to do and all the rest of it, or why they've signed up for something, a bit like you for bushra stuff. So how did that happen? Well, somewhere in your unconscious, your brain's gone, yep, that's for me.
Yeah.
So and that's fine. And if you're happy to go with that, that's great. But I think people sometimes feel a little bit sort of uncomfortable around the idea of allowing themselves to have those feelings of it feels right, it feels like something I should be doing, because they haven't used those, for want of a better word, muscles enough to know what feels right and what feels good, and whether or not it's a true thing, whether or not it really is instinct that is guiding them for something that is going to be good. But one thing I would say for sure in that is that if you enter into something feeling unsure about it, if you look for the negative, you will find the negative. Whereas if you look for the positive and you look for the opportunity and you look for the learning, that's what you'll find. So we will attract what we are expecting, so to speak, as far as these things are concerned. So if you're feeling like something is a good thing to invest in, then invest in it and look for the learning. And you know what? The worst learning that you're going to get, the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to go, okay, so that's something that I can't use now. That's the worst. That's the absolute worst. But it doesn't mean that it hasn't already sparked those neural pathways for you. It doesn't mean that it's not something that hasn't, that won't resonate for you at some point in the future. I mean, I spent, I think it was $25 on something at the beginning of this year, which, pretty early on, I was sort of looking at it going, yeah, I'm not entirely sure that this is something that I'm going to get a lot out of it. And as a consequence, I haven't really paid much attention to it. So in my head, I'm thinking, yeah, that was a bit of a waste. But I also remember when I spent the money on it thinking, I'm not sure about this, but it can't hurt, throw everything at it, all the rest of it. It's only $25, so 20 quid, something like that, for the year-long investment. If it works, fantastic. If it doesn't, no biggie. So I'm quite comfortable about that, because I went into it only 50-50 about whether or not it was actually going to be for me. And to be honest, it was a bit like what was the thing you did, the meditation thing, was it? It was a bit like that. It's kind of, don't really like your voice. So for the main person presenting it, it was just nothing other than, okay, so for some people, we're not going to be right for everybody. So there'll be some people listening to this podcast maybe for the first time thinking, I can't stand the sound of Ginette's voice, I'm never going to listen to her again. Okay, fine. That we can't be for everybody. And for this particular person, I'm sure she's lovely, but there's something about her voice where I'm just thinking, no, I'm not sure I can listen to you for a long period of time. That's just the way it is, and that's fine. It's
Absolutely. One of the other things why people sign up for courses though is is FOMO, isn't it? Absolutely. And there's been some people who've actually said, at least 2 people who've signed up for my More Than Membership program have actually said, oh, I need to do this because I've got FOMO.
Okay.
Welcome, but I, again, I've certainly felt that, particularly if there is a course that you've been doing and you've really enjoyed it and you've done, like, Michael Neal's stuff, it's a classic. Every time he announces a new course, I'm like, oh, I have to do that because, fear of missing out, you
Yeah,
know. I'm like,
totally.
I've got to do that, and it's kind of, and that can be, a real driver, can't
Hmm.
it,
Yeah, completely. But again, there's something in your brain somewhere. And even if it is just the fear of missing out, and then you get in there and you think, actually, I've pretty much heard all of this stuff before. I've done that with things, and I constantly remind myself, for things that interest me, yes, I have read widely on those things. I have listened to a lot of stuff. I have watched a lot of videos and all the rest of it. So the chances of me finding something entirely new in a subject that I'm already interested in are quite slim. But
Mm.
I will find a new perspective on that stuff,
Yeah.
and I will hear a new experience about it. I'll get new stories. I will enrich the stuff that I already know. And so, there are other things like the persuasion stuff. A lot of it I've heard before because I've been following Bushra for such a long time, but it's the
Yeah.
way it's structured, and it's deepening the knowledge. And yes, there are new things in there as well, which I knew there would be, for sure. So it's about going into something and looking for an opportunity. It's about being open for an opportunity.
Mm.
And then when you are evaluating something as an opportunity, it's kind of, does it feel right? Does it tick some boxes for me? Is it something that I can see myself implementing? I think that's a really important one. Can I see myself doing this? Or is it something that I'm just watching and thinking, yeah, I'm never going to actually put it into action? There are things like, oh God, I feel awful saying this, but I am confident I am never going to include cold calling in my business model. So really sorry for the gorgeous Audrey Bodman, who I know is an absolute queen of this stuff, but it's just not something I'm going to do. So really there is no point in me trying to learn about it, because it's just there are other ways of achieving the same end result. For me, but yeah, it's the same for anything. You've got to learn and understand, and sometimes you do have to do a bit of toe dipping with relatively low commitment, whether that's low time commitment or low cost commitment stuff, to just test your intuition out for these things as to what's going to work and what isn't. But definitely look for the opportunity, and then look for the positive in what you're getting, as opposed to being a bit grudging about it and then looking for the negative just to reinforce the fact that that was a stupid decision in the first place. I mean, if that's your attitude, that's what you're going to find. So
absolutely. Well, how exciting. So I'm sure this is going to be an absolutely fantastic opportunity, and we can talk about it next week. And you can let us know how you got on,
absolutely,
and what other opportunities have been created as a result.
Definitely. And also you can tell me how it came across as well.
Oh yeah. I will.
Did it work? Yeah, I mean, it's always useful to get feedback on these things. And I think the thing that's worrying everybody at the moment is that yes, we can do a Facebook Live, but with Facebook Live you either share your screen or you share yourself, and if you're trying to help people, it's better to have slides, so that all the rest of it, which means a lot of people are having to go in via Zoom. You and I both know what it's like to go in via Zoom to do a Facebook Live. And then the thing that actually I'm going to be testing later today is the delay between me saying something.
Yeah,
because
that's the bit I don't like.
Exactly, because of the delay, it makes it quite difficult when you're asking questions and trying to get engagement, and all the virtual live tricks that of course we all know now because we've had to. But yes, that's going to be interesting. So I shall tweak to suit, I think, on that one. Anyway, enough of that. Dog walking digest, Sharon.
Dog walking digest. Well, I think I reported last week that we instituting a new routine for Jen, because we're not going to be plodding up the hill or down the hill anymore. She doesn't like it. And oh my God, she's so much happier. She's so much happier. Like finding, places. It sometimes means getting in the car and driving to somewhere that's, it's a bit flat, like a park, or down to the beach, or there's a bit. Obviously, it's the 1st of May now, so most of the beaches now you can't take her on.
Sure.
But the bit of beach down at the bottom of the hill, you can actually take her on. So you can drive down there. I know it seems a bit of a pain to think it's so close, but you're getting in the car. But it means that she's not, we're not dragging her up the hill. She just seems so much happier. So So that's so Gem's new routine
Oh,
is a great success, and she's
good.
a happy little dog.
Good. Oh, that's really pleasing. Very pleasing
Yeah.
for her, because you don't want to force them to do anything they don't want to do. I mean,
No.
Mum's dog Copper, just for the last couple of weeks, he's changed now again, but he didn't want to jump up on their laps or jump or go upstairs or anything like that. So we figured he probably sort of pulled a little muscle or something like that, and just wasn't. He was absolutely fine going for walks, running after his ball.
Yeah.
He
Good.
just preferred to sleep downstairs and not jump up on anything. But he seems to have started to go back to normal now, so he's obviously feeling better on that one. For me this week, the thing that I wanted to bring up in the dog walking digest was what really annoys me is people that own dogs that have absolutely no recall whatsoever, but they still stand there and they're like, Kirby, 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 Kirby. And Kirby's taking absolutely no notice whatsoever. Kirby's over there bothering the other dog. This poor person's got their dog on a lead, trying to fend it off against this other dog that's going, play, play, play. And they're just standing there. It's like, go over and get your dog. It clearly isn't paying any attention to you whatsoever. Walk over, put it on the lead, pull it back again. Because, Kirby, Kirby, oh my God, It's like if Scamp ignores me, I go and get him. It's just, that's the way it should be. But oh God, I do think there is a difference between sort of dog walkers that just that are prepared to go and get their dog and prepared to sort of pull them away or keep them out of harm's way or negotiate them around other people and other dogs when they know that they might be a bit grumpy. You and I both know what that's like. But it's the ones that sort of they're just standing there, they're having their little mothers meeting or whatever it might be, and chat, and this dog's all the way over the other side of the park bothering another dog, and then they're just like, oh, come on, it's that's not working.
What was the infamous YouTube thing about the one in Richmond
Oh
Park?
yes, was it?
What was he called, that dog?
Was it a Marley? It might have been a Marley, or
no, oh, we're gonna have to find it now.
Barney or
If
something.
anybody who's listening can let us know. But it's a very famous one where this guy, when he's basically he couldn't control his dog and he's just running all over Richmond Park chasing after these deer.
Yeah.
And this guy is like shouting at the top of his with the name of this dog, which is hilarious.
Oh, but at least he was chasing after the dog, trying to get him. He wasn't just standing in the one place expecting the dog to come back to him, because the dog wasn't going to do that for sure.
It's hilarious.
Absolutely. So that was just
anyway.
and the only reason I bring it up is because I've seen it twice this week. It's just like, what is going on? Why are these people seemingly think that this is the way to control their dog?
Well, you know why? They're there for your entertainment.
Do you think?
That's why.
All right then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. You sent him special. All right. Okay. Any more, Sharon?
No, I think we are done for this rather wet and windy bank holiday Monday.
Yeah, well.
But I hope wish you all a wonderful week, and we will see you all again next week. Have a great week,
Take
everyone.
care. Bye.
Bye.